So hey guys, and welcome to another episode of MGC. Today I'm here with the beautiful Land Cruiser 200 series, and I wanted to take you through all the goods and the bads of this particular vehicle. Has it lived up to the Land Cruiser name? The 80 series, the 100 series, tough, rugged, dependable, take you to any corner of the world. Has the 200 series lived up to that? And how does it set the stage for the Land Cruiser 300 series? Enjoy. So let's start off this video going over, what the 200 series did good, what the 200 series did bad. So if we start off, I'll just try and start off at the front of the vehicle and just go through the whole vehicle, and I'll show you video footage of the different parts of the vehicle I'm talking about and the points I'm trying to express. So if we start off here in the front, we have a good paint job, I would say. The 80 series paint job was alright. I would say the 100 series paint jobs, some of them, if you got the diamond white pearl or some of the other finishes, the paint job, the paint quality was magnificent, absolutely superb. You have vehicles of 20 years later, if they were well maintained, the paint has just stayed absolutely perfect. When we come to the 200 series, again, paint is excellent. I would say I wouldn't complain about the paint. Paint job is good, but you have to take care of your paint job. And so what you see with the Land Cruiser 200 series, at least I've noticed that the clear coat seems to be destroyed by the sun a bit quicker than what it was with the 100 series, and maybe the thickness of the clear coat is a bit less, because if you buff the vehicle a few times, it's all pretty much all the clear coat and the shine disappears. But overall, you're gonna get a good paint job with the 200 series. So Toyota did maintain that. So Toyota did maintain the quality of the paint job. If we come over to overall design, what I like with what Toyota did when they moved generations. When you move generations, there's a lot of sort of pent up expectations of how's the vehicle gonna be, how exactly is the company gonna construct the vehicle. Are they gonna stick to the same laurels? And what we know about the Land Cruiser is it has to be dependable. It has to be able to take you to every corner of the world. And also, spare parts have to be available, and things need to be able to be switched out fairly easily in case an issue arises. So in sticking with these expectations, Toyota did build the 200 series like that. They stuck to the solid frame, which I'm so happy about. They stuck to the fact that you got a live axle in the rear. Now granted, that the change in the front already came from the 100 series. The 100 series already introduced independent front suspension. And independent front suspension, the intent of it is to make the ride a bit smoother. Most of the SUVs that you find today, even the Nissan Patrols, they've sort of moved away from the live axles. You just have independent coils all around, and it's not as rugged. But the good thing with the Land Cruiser, they switched the front to independent front suspension, so it did help the ride quality a lot. These vehicles became a lot smoother, a lot less truckish, but still very dependable. I mean, with independent front suspension, your weaknesses are going to be those CVs. You go over some rugged terrain, or you put some big wheels on here, and you go over some rugged terrain, you're probably going to pop a CV because of how big the 200 series is. And this is a heavy baby. There's no doubt about it. If you mod this vehicle up and start throwing on big tires and start throwing on roof racks and start throwing on steel bumpers, the weight is going to be insane. It's going to be a lot for the vehicle to handle. But in the rear, you still have the live axle, which I love and I'm very pleased about. In terms of engines, even, they stuck to their laurels. They didn't axe the V8 petrol yet, and they even had a V8 twin turbo diesel for the 200 series, which is just a beautiful engine. So all the options for the 200 series were really good motors, and really dependable motors as well. I'm seeing a lot of Land Cruisers 200 series that are crossing 200 250,000 miles and not having issues. And I'll go over some of the issues that do creep up, because no car is absolutely perfect. And also, every owner varies. And if you're buying a car, you want to buy it from an owner who cares and loves about his car, because that means regular maintenance, oil changes, filter changes, fluid changes. And that is the difference between a car surviving a long time and a car surviving no time at all. So 200 series got a good engine, V8 petrol, which I'll show you now. It's a version of the 2UZ-FE. It is a dependable motor. And yeah, they stuck to that. And if we talk about the 300 series, you know that the rumors are that we're going to be losing this V8 finally after 1998 all the way up to 2020. So after a 22-year period, Toyota is going to axe the V8 in here and probably give us a twin-turbo V6 engine, which I'm quite sad about. And so these will be very cherished, the 100 series and the 200 series with the V8 engine. But the 200 series, it did the engine well, you know, no complaints there. Overall styling, I would say I like it, and at the same time I don't like it. I like this version of the headlights, the 2012 facelift, and I like the 2016 version as well. But I don't like the fact that we lost these flares. With the 100 series, you had a bit of a flare over here. You could see that the body was a bit more muscular. With the 200 series, it became all sort of straight lines, and you know, where it had to be boxy, it was boxy. I mean, if you look at this front bumper, you can see there's no attempts to make it a bit streamlined. It's boxy, and I don't quite mind that, because the Land Cruiser in general is supposed to be a tough, boxy, rugged vehicle. So Toyota thought carefully in the decisions they made when they brought this 200 series to us. Of course, you got projector beams here, and you got a halogen, and you've got LEDs here. So visibility, I would say overall lighting got a lot better from 100 to 200 series. You got good lights, good visibility at night. If we continue on, you come over to items such as the camera systems that they put in for you. You can see here is one camera, and in the front we have another camera, and in the rear we have a camera. So you have a 3-camera system, and it really does assist you when you're maneuvering this vehicle. This camera over here allows you to know exactly where you are if a ledge is coming up. And the front camera also very useful if you're maneuvering some terrain, or just to see the vehicle in front of you. It's very useful. It is very useful to have these camera systems, and that was a good upgrade, and that's something the 200 series did well. It brought us a bit more technology, but it brought us functional technology, stuff that we can use. If we talk about those features, we talk about a camera system, we talk about the crawl control, which is that feature that allows you to sort of tether the speed in which the vehicle moves. All you have to do is control the brake, and the vehicle does the rest, and you can choose the speed. So if you're stuck in sand, or you're stuck in some slidey terrain, the vehicle can sort of think its way out of it, and that's a great feature. So with that, of course, with the 200 series, you got all the features, all the luxury features that you would expect from a modern vehicle, like the rain sensing wipers. You've got beautiful leather seats, comfortable, sumptuous. You've got real wood inside, nice dark mahogany in this particular example, but you can also get the lighter variant of the wood. And they gave you the good features. Now, I will say the dashboard remains a plastic vinyl finish, but I like the interior of the 200 series, but I do hope for sort of a change from the when the 300 series comes out, because I do like this interior and the way it sits up at you, but I kind of like the 100 series and the 80 series where, you know, you're the driver and the interior is sort of spread out for you. In this aspect, it's like it's coming at you. Well, that's a minor thing, and some people love it and some people don't. Of course, you also got all kinds of sensors. You got multiple sensors in the front and the rear, which beep when you come near objects. So maneuverability of the vehicle is actually very good. You got more of a slanted windscreen, trying to be a bit more streamlined, but not. I don't think that'll help much with airflow and streamlining the vehicle. Now, mirrors, you got good visibility all around this vehicle. Big, chunky mirrors, and lets you see a lot more. When I get in my 100 series and I look at my mirrors, these are much bigger, and it's much nicer to have bigger mirrors, so you can see more. Now, when you come to the side of the vehicle, some of the aspects that kind of lack is these little trim that they stuck on the door panels, and I'll show you a close-up of that right now. But the paint quality and the chrome, and over time they just don't do so well, and you would probably have to take them out, repaint them, and get them installed. But that's unfortunate. And I would hope they stick some real trim on the cruiser, not these plastic bits. Maybe some real side cladding in the 300 series, or some real aluminium chrome like they used to do in the Mercedes-Benz, the 123 or those styles. But apart from that, you stuck to the laurels of the cruiser. You got your shades here, your visors. You got good windows, quick windows, all automatic up and down, and you got a few sort of niceties, and the way I would explain that is the fact that they refined your experience in the interior of this vehicle. And what I mean by refinement, all the knobs, all the switches, everything that you have to touch was just dampened a bit. The sound was dampened a bit. So when you flick that indicator, it's more of a subtle sound rather than a loud, obtrusive kind of clicking noise. So they refined the interior in those bits where soft touches, soft clicks, and it just makes everything seem a bit more luxury, a bit more refined. So I do like those aspects a lot. Steering wheel is classic Toyota, not much to say there. But coming into the interior, they did a good job. They retained the leather for us here, but I would hope that was actually bunched leather. We got real wood trim, the plastic vinyl finish just about all around, and that, in terms of durability, this plastic has lasted just very, very well. No complaints. This interior, all these years later, has no issues, and that's a testament to Toyota and building the vehicle the right way and sticking to the same laurels as they usually do for the Land Cruiser brand. So this vehicle is just as dependable as all the other variants, and that's a good thing. You got 10-way adjustable seats, you've got adjustment for your suspension settings if you want it warmer, if you want it softer or harder. You've got heated seats in the front, which is a great feature. Heated seats in the front. You've got lots of spaciousness in the back, and you got rear seats, so you can fit up to 8 passengers, and you got good loading space in the vehicle as well. And you got the roof rails if you want to put a roof tent on there or somewhat like that. Now, I will say some of the issues would be with the hydraulic struts or things like that. I did not, touch wood, I did not see so many of those kind of issues with my 100 series. Like when you open the tailgate, it's controlled by hydraulic struts. If you open the hood, it's controlled by hydraulic struts. And what I noticed is with the 200 series, the hydraulic struts last less long for some reason. With the 100 series, I'm still going with my original struts and not having issues, but with many 200 series that I've seen, either the hood struts are dead or the tailgate struts are dead. And obviously this is not a big issue, it's just a part that you pull out and you replace. But they could have made those a bit better. Those should last a long time. It's hydraulic. Hydraulic systems should stand the test of time. So that was a bit of a disappointment, but it's kind of a minor thing and not something really to write home about. And in terms of gauges, with the 200 series, you got sort of those speedy kind of gauges. The speedometer is what I'm talking about. And with the 2016 variant, they changed that and made it a bit more well laid out, and not having those circular dials, and just being able to have more of a full view of your speedometer. And I'm glad they made that change, because that's how it was in the 100 series. And when I saw these kind of gauges sticking out at you when this vehicle came out, I thought, why are they doing that? Why are they making it so sporty? It's a Land Cruiser. You want your speedometer well laid out, big visible space, rather than having these circular dials at you. But they corrected that change in 2016, so that's all right. And this vehicle has been very solid and dependable, so they have done well in that aspect. In terms of hydraulic shocks as well, This vehicle doesn't have hydraulic shocks, but it has the standard shocks, but also those shocks tend to leak. So another negative of the 200 series, you're going to have shocks that need to be replaced, which is alright over a 10 or 15 year period. That's pretty much normal. And apart from that, you've got good drainage systems in the vehicle, everything built in a way where you have minimal issues. You know, Toyota learned from all their years of experience, and usually when a generation comes out, there may be a few issues in the first model year as they're just trying to figure everything out, you know, electrical gremlins or things like that. Because this vehicle, we must admit, the 200 series does have a ton more of electrical systems than the 100 series, and the 100 series has a lot more than the 80 series and previous years. But these electrical systems, they do well over time. They're not too complex, and you know, I'm glad we don't have issues like air suspensions and stuff like that. You know, if you go for a Prado TZG version, you actually are going to get air suspension in the rear, and I'm not so happy about that. I don't like that. That Prado is also a version of a Land Cruiser, and it shouldn't be doing anything next to air suspension. Those things are not reliable, and that's not what you want out in the bush. But overall, the 200 series did a good job sticking to the Land Cruiser name and providing Land Cruiser buyers with a good options and good update and varieties as well. So I do hope the Cruiser 300 series brings all of the same kind of rugged dependability, live axle in the rear, you know, maybe some flares, redesigned headlights and all that. I'm sure if you've checked out my Land Cruiser 300 series, you know that I've talked about all the latest rumors, but there's still time, still 2021 August, so some things still can change. So let's see what they come up with. But the 200 series was a good generation, and it did a good job in its 12 years, and it was a very popular vehicle as well, so no complaints there. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been another episode of Masai Gaines on Cars. Masai Gaines, checking out.